Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the session. We have a lot of news that we'd like to share with you. So we'll first start with none other than Rahul Gandhi. So let's talk about what he is up to now. Yeah. So every time an election is going to happen in India, Rahul Gandhi comes out with a different issue and tries to create such a ruckus that everything gets diverted and people start concentrating on what he's saying. And now the focus is totally on students. Now Rahul Gandhi's recent focus on students and examination issues such as allegations surrounding the UGC, NET and NEET exams is part of a broader political strategy aimed at challenging the central government. His actions include a series of student conventions dubbed Chhatro Ki Goonj, which means students' outcry, are centered on several key objectives. Now, he is trying to highlight the systematic failure of the Modi government. He is framing the recurring paper leaks and exam cancellations not merely as administrative lapses, but as a fundamental failure of the Modi government's education policy. He argues that these issues represent a rejection system that punishes students for their hard work rather than rewarding them. He is also trying to mobilize youth voters by addressing issues like exam pressure, unemployment, and the cost of education. Gandhi is attempting to tap into the widespread frustration among youth and aspirants. Analysts suggest this nuanced approach is designed to move beyond traditional political rhetoric and connect directly with students who feel their future are being jeopardized. He's also trying to demand accountability. He's consistently used these instances to attack the government's lack of accountability by accusing the government of being indifferent or turning a blind eye to students' suffering. He aims to position himself and the Congress party as the primary voice of those seeking justice and a transparent recruitment system. The ongoing campaign, which includes rallies in cities like Kota, Allahabad, and Patna, is intended to unite students across political affiliations. This is a part of a larger effort to sustain pressure on the government, similar to the strategy used during his Bharat Jodo Yatra. Now, one thing you must understand, friends, is that he will come out with some issue, and then people like Sam Pitroda are the ones who try to, put all the information in, give him all the information so that he starts speaking on these topics. So welcome, Leena. Always nice to see you. And welcome, Rajkumar. And Leena says, wonder what is his educational qualifications. Agencies should find out if anyone gave him his exams. Okay. So now talking about Rahul Gandhi, his primary aim seems to be to attack the, Modi government. That's what he seems to be, aiming at. So as to disrupt what's happening. Now he's claimed that the kind of allegations as he's made is that he claimed that a confidential 100-page PDF linked to the UGC NET sociology examination had been circulated before the test. According to him, the document contained material used for question paper preparation that should have been accessible only to the National Testing Agency. He further alleged that nearly 90 questions from the circulated document appeared in the actual sociology paper, raising serious concerns over the integrity of the examination process and over the integrity of the process. And he also claimed that the alleged paper was being sold for around 2.25 lakhs through an organized network operating across Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Delhi, and Rajasthan. Now, calling the incident another example of the government's failure to protect students' interests, he accused the center of continuing to turn a blind eye to recent examinations controversies. He argued that despite several paper leak allegations over the past few years, no systematic reforms have been introduced to restore confidence in the country's examination system. Now, the Education Ministry has ordered an investigation and have directed the National Testing Agency to investigate the claims surrounding the alleged leak. The inquiry is expected to determine whether confidential examination material was circulated before the exam and whether there was any breach in the paper setting process. At the time the allegation surfaced, the NTA had not issued any official response specifically addressing the claimed paper leak. However, the agency had earlier acknowledged complaints regarding errors in the sociology exam paper and stated that it was examining those concerns separately. So you'll find that in a lot of the uh, you know uh, uh, issues that he raises, somehow the moment that issue is over, then he moves on to greener pastures. So this is something, it's just different tactics somehow meant to put the country in turmoil, just like they did it in different countries like Iraq, and you talk about Libya, and then you talk about Syria, and then you have Nepal and Sri Lanka. So he thinks that by doing these things, India will also fall into turmoil. But unfortunately, he's playing with the wrong, kind of people, because Indians are not fools. They have been sensing that here, this person, that is Rahul Gandhi, has never been working, in any way for the progress of the country. If you can even name about 3 or 4 things that he has done, which we can thank him for, you'll really have to search, because there's nothing he has done. He's always only attacking. So what is a opposition worth if they can't do any good things and show that they are an example and that they are worth voting for? So this is something that's absolutely ridiculous from his side. He has zero vision. He can never talk about development, is what Lena says. So this is something very, very true, because he keeps on attacking. There's nothing that he really wants to, do for the people themselves. And every time some serious issue comes, he's holidaying somewhere, in Thailand or Switzerland or France or Italy. So I don't know. It's just like he flies away whenever there is a serious issue. So how can he be even called a leader when he doesn't care for the people or the country? That is the main question. Now, moving on to the second piece of news. Now we're talking about the political confrontation between DMK and the ruling TVK under Vijay in Tamil Nadu, which has become currently intense and openly hostile. Now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay on Friday slammed the DMK for attempting to gain political mileage from the tragic stampede here last year and restraining him from visiting the district where the stampede happened. In his first visit to Karur since the 2025 stampede that killed 41 persons, Vijay faulted the police for not alerting him about the swelling crowd at the TVK venue on September 27 last, nor taking any steps to cancel the meeting as the crowd had become unmanageable to control. Now, the police could have alerted us that the crowd was swelling and and has become unmanageable to control. The police have all the right to cancel the meeting. Without doing so, the police escorted us on the highway, Vijay said during his first visit in Karur after taking up the reins as chief minister in May. Vijay could not meet the affected 41 families in Karur last year, but had these affected families brought near Chennai, and he personally consoled them. At the meeting today, Vijay said, "I trust the police fully and even thanked them at the meeting. I didn't know about the drama. Who's responsible for this? Under whose instruction was this all run?" They tried to gain political mileage out of the tragedy, he said, in an apparent reference to the DMK, then in the ruling saddle. "We have lost children of our sisters in 2025 Karur stampede," he said. The CM, clad in black attire, also announced to establish a memorial on behalf of his party, TVK, for the victims of the Karur stampede. Later, he took out a road show with people queuing up on either sides of the road in good numbers. He waved at them and greeted them with folded hands. So one thing is very clear, friends, is that this man is moving, as per certain, guidance from behind. As you know, the lottery people are behind him, and also everything he is doing is not. You can make out that he's not using his own intelligence. He has a lot of people who are using him as a puppet. Because now you remember his movie Jananayakan is about to be released, and they have given an E certificate to it. Now he wants that movie to, make his persona 10 times bigger and make people believe that celluloid is reality and that what he is doing in the movie is actually what he is going to do as a chief minister. So he wants the people to believe in him 100%. And as you know, Tamil Nadu is a state where people get swayed by movies. And they often think that the characters in movies, actually have that sort of character. Whether you talk about MGR or Jayalalitha, all the actors, Rajinikanth, whoever. See, what happens is they actually believe that these actors can, relive the lives that they live on celluloid and actually improve the lives of the people. So this is something that's quite, sometimes you find this rather ridiculous. Now, the rivalry has moved beyond policy disagreements between DMK and DVK into personal exchanges on the assembly floor, with both sides raising questions regarding personal and family matters. Now, Vijay recently, visited Karur, and he's promised these people jobs, government jobs. So this is all something that he's doing purely, without. I don't think he's even consulting people. So to make the people believe in him, he is just going around doing, saying things. Now, the people, who voted for him, they were promised a certain amount of money and many other benefits which they have not received. And according to the people, including, my maid who keeps going to Tamil Nadu to vote, says that, see, now they are saying that they don't have any money, so they cannot give. So it's very easy to make hollow promises, which is what this man is doing. He's acting in real life as well. And because anyway, nobody really believes in DMK, so he keeps on trashing DMK to score some points. Now, Lina says, we should thank him for opening our eyes. Deep state agent, anti-Sanatani, anti-army, he is pro-China in his thoughts. Yes, absolutely. And now Chief Minister, as we said, went to Karur and he's promised these youngsters jobs. And what happens in Tamil Nadu is the moment you give money, everything changes. The attitude. Earlier, they were so angry that Vijay had not come and seen them after the stampede. But now, the moment the children in the family are being offered government jobs, the attitude has completely changed. So money is what is trying, Vijay is using to change the attitude of the people. Now, DMK leaders, including Stalin, have launched blistering attacks on the DVK government, alleging worsening law and order, power cuts, and poor governance. The opposition has even predicted the collapse of the current government within months. Now, the DMK has also accused the TVK of attempting to take credit for development projects and welfare measures that were actually implemented during DMK's previous tenure. Now, the hostilities have included and extended into the legal sphere, with opposition strategists sending legal notices to state ministers demanding apologies for alleged defamatory remarks. So this is also happening, side by side. And so let's move on to the next piece of news. Now, we're talking about the SIR that's happening in in Karnataka. Now, notices to 35 BLOs validate SIR irregularity claims, says H.D. Kumaraswamy in Bangalore. Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy has stepped up his criticism of the ongoing SIR of electoral rolls in Karnataka, arguing that the Election Commission's decision to issue notices to 35 booth-level officers over alleged procedural lapses. It vindicates the concerns repeatedly raised by the BJP-JDS alliance. So this is something that we did in depth with Mohandas Pai a few days back. And he completely exposed what is happening in Karnataka. Now, Anbu Kumar's assertion that there has been no large-scale irregularities in the voter verification exercise, the union minister maintained that the notices issued to the BLOs were themselves evidences that the SIR process had not been conducted strictly in accordance with the Election Commission guidelines. A day after the Karnataka CEO denied allegations that voter enumeration was being carried out through group enrollment drives, Kumaraswamy challenged the official position. I've seen the Chief Electoral Officer's statement claiming that SIR was not conducted by gathering people in groups. But if everything was carried out properly, why were notices issued to 35 booth level officers, Kumaraswamy asked. He said that the NDA had already submitted documentary evidence to the Karnataka CEO showing instances where voter enumeration was allegedly conducted by assembling people in groups rather than door to door verification. We spoke about this. This was happening in mosques, marriage halls, and dargahs. So, and there was evidence given in social media. It had gone viral. Now, it should have been done door to door, which is the prescribed procedure under the Election Commission guidelines. Now, according to him, such instances were reported from Ramnagara, Yeshwantpur, and several other parts of the state. Now, the NDA's allegations are that the SIR of electoral rolls has witnessed several procedural violations. Earlier this week, a delegation comprising Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy, Prahlad Joshi, and Shobha Karanlaje, along with senior BJP and JDS leaders, met Karnataka Chief Electoral Office V. Anbukumar and later the Election Commission of India to submit a formal complaint. The delegation alleged that the election officials had distributed enumeration forms in bulk instead of conducting individual household verification as mandated under Election Commission norms. They also claimed that political workers were involved in the exercise in certain locations and demanded a comprehensive inquiry into the alleged irregularities, and the NDA leaders sought fresh door-to-door verification of electoral rolls in areas where they believe the process may have been compromised and urged the Election Commission to initiate legal action against officials found violating prescribed procedures. Now, Anbu Kumar, however, has rejected all the allegations of systematic violations during the SIR. Now, I don't know why he's closing his eyes, because there is proof all over social media that violations have happened. Now, the CEO clarified that while notices have been served to around 35 booth level officers for allegedly deviating from operational guidelines, these notices were issued because the officials were suspected of conducting voter enumeration through group interactions rather than visiting individual households. In fact, in some places, school children were filling the forms for the people. This was also shown in the news media. He stressed that the Election Commission had not found evidence of organized mass distribution of enumeration forms by officials. According to Anbu Kumar, in several places, residents had gathered voluntarily at common locations for convenience, but BLOs had been instructed to adhere strictly to house-to-house verification procedures. The CEO also stated that the complaints received from political parties had been forwarded to the Election Commission of India for examination, but maintained that there was no immediate need to order a fresh statewide verification exercise. Kumaraswamy argued that the issuance of notices itself demonstrated that the concerns raised by the NDA were not baseless. He said the Election Commission must conduct a thorough investigation into all complaints to ensure that the electoral rolls remain accurate and that the public confidence in the election process is not undermined. According to the Union Minister, transparency in voter enumeration is essential to maintain the credibility of elections, and any deviation from prescribed procedures should be examined impartially. Now, the JDS leader also reiterated his demand for corrective measures wherever irregularities are established, insisting that the electoral revision process should strictly comply with Election Commission guidelines to safeguard the integrity of the democratic process. So this is something that has been very worrying for the people. Now, one thing is for sure is that these people who have been messing up with the SIR don't care about any nationalistic cause. They do not want to work for the country. If you have Bangladeshis and Rohingyas filling in forms, then aren't they the people who are going to rule the state? At least this much they should understand, isn't it? And moreover, see that we know that every booth BLO must conduct door-to-door verification to collect and verify voter information. Now, in our area, they have come and they have collected the information, and this is how it should be done in every area. Not have people come to the masjid and to wedding halls and dargahs and just give them. So that itself shows that there is some kind of mischief happening. So this is something that really needs to be looked at. Moving on to the next piece of news. We're talking about the movie Satlaj now. So, uh, a very, the movie that has been now, told not to be aired anywhere and now are being shown in certain gurudwaras. Now, what is happening to this movie? Now, according to, uh, you know, many of the critics, this movie, even if it is showing the truth, and that if it is rewriting history, but in the process, if they're painting the Indian state unfairly as a black sheep, then it is a political project. So this is something that Rahul Shivshankar has said, brilliantly in his tweet. And he said that the filmmakers say Satlaj is educational. It purports to tell the story of a rights activist who was abducted and killed by security forces for seeking justice for victims of extrajudicial killings. Yes, they happened and they shouldn't have. But in its retelling, the film is being faulted for not showing the entire truth. Education cannot be based on half truths. There's another side. One, Pakistan's ISI propped up Khalistani terrorist groups with training, sanctuary, and logistical support. This was a transnational movement to balkanize India. The film needs to present this unapologetically. Second point is innocent men were co-opted and coerced by Khalistani terror organizations in the name of religion to pick up arms for an invented cause. Many became perpetrators of extraordinary brutality. They strode into village homes, committing wanton murders and extortion, intimidating entire communities. In other words, they adopted means that are deemed blasphemous in Sikhism. The film should have also depicted how Pakistan sponsored Khalistani terrorists targeted thousands of innocent families for their loyalty to the idea of India. Sikh policemen, village defense volunteers, public servants, journalists, and ordinary citizens were marked for death because they stood by the Indian Union. The film should have also belabored the murderous zeal that prompted the blowing up of trains, planes, cinema halls, and restaurants. The bombing of Air India Flight 182, which killed 329 people, remains one of the deadliest acts of aviation terrorism in history. No cause can justify such extrajudicial means. Fifth, the film should have also focused on how security forces led by KPS Gill not only defeated the insurgency but also secured the surrender and rehabilitation of large number of Sikh youth willing to lay down arms. Sixth, what about the sacrifices made by the families of security personnel who were heinously punished by Khalistani terror groups simply for standing in solidarity with the Indian Union? And the seventh point is no retelling of history can be complete without focusing on the xenophobic zealotry of Khalistani terrorists who singled out hundreds, if not thousands, of Hindus simply because of their identity. And he's talking about the 1983 Dhilwan bus massacre, 6 were killed. The 1987 Lalru bus massacre, 38 Hindu passengers were killed. The 1987 Fatehbad bus killings, 34 killings killed. The 1991 Punjab trans massacres, in which 125 Hindu passengers were killed. So, watching a Satlaj, you'd never know that Jarnail Singh Bhadranwala continues to be revered as a martyr by sections of Sikh community, and that his portrait hangs within the precincts of the Akal Takht, the highest rectoral seat of Sikh authority. Why? In homage to what? So he says this is an argument against making Satlaj, but remember, just as every victim deserves to be remembered, every truth also deserves to be told. So this is something that he has, tweeted very well. Now, this movie starring Diljit Dosanjh and based on the life of human rights activist Jaswant Singh Kalra was released on ZEE5 on July 3rd after years of delay caused by certification disputes. Less than 48 hours later, it was removed from the platform for viewers in India following a government direction issued under the information technology rules. So this is something that has been done, and that we stand with, because whenever you make a movie, it's very important that all sides of the story be told. Now, Lena says Khalistani terrorism not shown. One can't be selective. Absolutely. So this is very important, and if the government has done it, we really approve of what they do, because movies influence people to a large extent, especially people who do not know the complete story behind these events. So with this, we end the session. Good night, Jai Hind, and Jai Shri Ram.